bros, welcome to the Steroid Journals. This is a video series where I go over my step-by-step involvement with anabolic steroids, everything from considering using them, to researching them, to buying them and using them, and what the results were, and every little tiny step in between. Where we last left off, I was talking about how I was a third into the way of my second cycle, 4 weeks in, and I explained that before the cycle, that second cycle, I started out at 164 pounds, and then 4 weeks in, I was weighing in at about 175 pounds. When that second cycle completed, I was up to about 179, I believe, and then I started PCT, and that came down a few pounds, back down to about 176 or whatever, but still a whole lot better than I was at when I started. For my second cycle's PCT, I wanted to be much more aggressive than I was with my first cycle. For my first cycle, I was just taking an oral medication called Clomid, but for this one I was going to be adding an additional oral medication called Nolvadex, as well as HCG. What HCG is human chorionic gonadotropin, and what that does is tells your testes, hey, please keep producing testosterone, because what will happen, one of the side effects of using anabolic steroids is that it will tell your testes, hey, you don't need to be doing any testosterone production. You're getting testosterone magically from somewhere else, so you can stop working at doing that. So they will shut down. During your cycle, they will completely stop producing testosterone, which in turn causes them to shrink. So one way to prevent that is to take HCG, and even if you're not so worried about them shrinking during the cycle, they'll still return back to normal size after the cycle. But this also helps to tell your testes, please keep producing testosterone, so that when your cycle is over, you don't suddenly have no testosterone being produced in your body. I definitely wanted to be using that. However, there was a very steep learning curve regarding HCG that I was not prepared for. It's not just some pill that you can take or some oil that you can inject. It arrives in a powder form, and then you have to mix this powder with a special type of water called sterile bacteriostatic water, which basically just means this water it's completely sterile. It doesn't have any bacteria in it, because what happens is you mix the stuff up and then you inject it either intramuscularly, like the same way you would with the anabolic steroids, or subcutaneously, which just means into your skin. Basically, you pull out a little bit of your belly skin, your belly fat, and inject it in there with an insulin pin. Also, there is some math involved, and I am terrible at math, so learning exactly how much of the special type of water to mix with this powder to produce the right potency of dosage to be able to be divided up into the different doses was a whole huge worry for me. But after watching a bunch of YouTube videos about it and reading several posts about it on the forum that I frequent, I felt ready. The next major problem that I ran into is that the place where I was buying my anabolic steroids and other such things from didn't sell HCG, so I had to look elsewhere for it. And then I also had to, I thought, buy the water separately. At no point during the purchasing process did I realize that that special water was included, so I ended up having to find somewhere to buy the water, or so I thought. And then also the specific type of needles. They're basically insulin needles. They're very, very small and thin, so I had to find a place to buy those because I couldn't get them from the regular place I was buying the anabolic steroid injection needles. So that was a whole hassle that I went through, but eventually I got everything ordered, everything arrived, and I stressed out a little bit about whether or not I was going to be able to mix this stuff properly. But I finally did the math correctly and knew exactly how much water to add to the powder to be able to produce enough liquid that's at the right dosage for enough of the doses. I was a little worried about injecting it. I've never used an insulin needle before, but you basically don't feel it at all. If anything, it's just a tiny quick little pinch feeling, and then it's gone, and And there's so little of that liquid that you're injecting in one dose that it's not that big of an issue. So it went pretty fine. And like I said, at the end of PCT, I had not lost much of my gains. I had only dropped 3 or 4 pounds. I was pretty happy with the end of that second cycle and the end of that second cycle's PCT, and was already planning my third cycle, of course. So that's what the next video will be about, is about planning that third cycle and all of the trials and tribulations that went into that. See you bros next time. Bye.